welcome back to my channel. It's me Swastika, and today we are going to go through the Hindu for 15 July 2020. I have done my Masters in Political Science from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I've done my BA Honours in Political Science from Delhi University. If you like my content, then please press the subscribe button, that's the red button, and please comment down below if you have any problems. Moving on, so we would be going through some short news and an editorial which discusses the India-China situation. So on the editorial page, in the middle of the page, there is an article at the topmost position by Antara Ghoshal Singh, who is a researcher at the Delhi Policy Group. She is a graduate from Tsinghua University, China, and has been a Chinese language fellow at the National Central University, Taiwan. So this article will basically be understanding policy initiatives from China's perspective. We will not be giving and including India's perspective on this, but rather we would be discussing this from the perspective of China. So she begins by saying that China has for long been preoccupied with its relentless pursuit to approach the center of the world and in managing a turbulent relationship with the United States. The June 15th incident of a violent face-off between Chinese and Indian troops at line of actual control, causing casualties on both sides, came as a big jolt. So she goes on to discuss the India-China policy dilemma. In the first aspect, she says that policy thinkers like Lin Min Wang and Zhan Jiadong from Dudan University and Ling Hongmei from the Shanghai Institute for International Studies are present a conflict that is not accident but is an inevitable result of what they perceive as India's long-standing speculative strategy on the China border. Beijing was fed up and wanted to teach India a lesson. From Doklam to Kashmir to India's unending infrastructure arms race, this caused Beijing to get fed up. So Beijing basically was fed up and wanted to teach India a lesson, and this conflict that happened was therefore not an accident but an inevitable result of what they perceive as India's long-standing speculative strategy on the China border. She further goes on to say that the key argument is that China-India relations hold no great prospect in the current international situation. There is no possibility of a negotiated settlement of the border dispute anytime soon. India is already a quasi ally of the US with no scope for reversal. With opportunities for cooperation at the global level diminishing, regional competition intensifying, and the earlier system of effective management of bilateral differences crumbling beyond control, periodic violent conflicts, they predict are the new normal in the China-India ties. She further goes on to say that to deal with India, China has a policy of three no's: no weakness, no concession, and no defensive defense. So in this manner, she is basically explaining the China's foreign policy towards India, which is a very hard one. They want to show no weakness, they want to give no concession, and they also want no defensive defense. China wants to hit us as hard as they can when they can. They want to take all opportunities to crack down on India, take the initiative to hit it hard whenever possible. This, it is argued, will not damage China-India relations. So they further argue that even if they crack down on us, it's not going to damage India-China relations, but will make them stronger. For this, they cite the example of the 1962 India-China war, which helped China in maintaining peace. So please keep in mind that this is the Chinese side of things and we are trying to discuss a dilemma that exists. This is one part of it which says that China has a very hardline strategy, a very hardline policy towards India, and they want to crack down on us as soon as possible because they feel that when they did so in 1962 war, it actually helped China in maintaining peace. Therefore, we see a renewed interest from Chinese community to keep creating border conflict in Aksai Chin and in the west, and McMahon line, which is over Arunachal Pradesh in the east, to enhance their secure strategic goals. But there is a second part to this, the counterbalancing swing, which says that Xing Yongnan and Yu Longyu are critical about China's reactive and tit-for-tat policies towards India. So they argue that doing so will mostly stoke extreme nationalism in India and unite an otherwise divided nation against China, which not only harms China's interests but may eventually draw China into an untimely military conflict. So they're basically saying that if we keep reacting, then this will lead to an extreme nationalism. India will react with extreme nationalism, and generally, because we are a very divided country based on because we have different social political interests, this unity paved due to extreme nationalism as a reaction to China's reactive and tit-for-tat policies will ultimately and eventually draw China into an untimely military conflict. They further criticize that those trying to teach India a lesson for being short-sighted and not psychologically prepared for the rise of India. So they're basically saying that if you want to teach India a lesson, you are not just short-sighted, but you are also underestimating the rise that India might have in terms of development, and if that happens, that we can openly challenge China and their supremacy. And openly hostile India would use every means to stop China from entering the Indian Ocean. Further decoupling of India-China relations will strengthen anti-China alliance between India, Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, and other countries. They will actively start taking steps to reshape global change to check and balance China's military and economic power. So this is what they are scared of, and this is the dilemma that exists. That on the one side they want to use the let's get hard on India and might is right strategy, but on other hand, equally they understand that doing so would be short-sighted and would eventually unite an otherwise divided country. So what do we have to be careful about? China is currently carrying out the strategy of weakening India internally by leveraging its social and political differences, completing its strategic encirclement, etc. China is in a serious dilemma over its Indian policy. So this is what she had to say, and I find that this article was really well written. In short news, we see that India and US are set to agree on high-level dialogue on trade and investment to restart negotiations. This is happening after I think 7 years or so, 6 years or so, and EU and India summit is going to be held where several agreements, including the roadmap to cooperation, an agreement on research sharing of civil nuclear cooperation, and a launch a maritime security dialogue, as well as negotiations between Europol and CBI will occur. In further short news, we see that ICMR says that there is no evidence of trials that itolizumab and tocilizumab reduce deaths in severely ill COVID patients. Both drugs are lab-cloned antibodies and work to thwarting a rush of chemicals called pro-inflammatory cytokines that are released by the immune system to counter coronavirus attacks on lung cells. Further, USA rejects Beijing's claims in South China Sea. This is a war that's happening, and South China Sea, being home to a valuable gas and oil deposits, is a vital waterway for the world's commerce. So, thank you for listening to me. And in case that you made it till the end, I would ask you to please subscribe and comment down below if you have any problems, any doubts. That would be great.